Retaining your workforce, attract the right people and keep the right people, develop them to excellence. That is what most people want. Most people want a highly engaged workforce, low absenteeism and high productivity. That exactly is the tagline of Paul Tawal, Stanter, consultant, employability expert, healthy workplace architect, international speaker and author. Hello and welcome, Paul.
Hi, Niels. Love to be here.
Thank you very much for taking the time. Now, of course, especially in these times where we have a shortfall of talent, the market is very competitive, even in times of crisis. People often ask, what is the usual error we do? Because many companies say we try to do the best for our employees. Still, we have a higher absenteeism rate than the market average. We have a higher employee turnover and we have a lower employee engagement. What are the usual mistakes companies do?
Well, what I think is a problem that lies below the surface, what they are saying to you and what the question is. What we see is that people like to work in an environment that gives a lot of energy. That's what we say. But how do you get energy from your work? Well, you love what you're doing and you love to work in that space. You like to work for that organization. And that means that you need to have a company culture that is floating on great positive core values, or as we say, non-negotiables. And there needs to be alignment between the non-negotiables of the company and the non-negotiables of the individual, and that's what we call culture.
Isn't the usual problem that the non-negotiables of, let's say, the workforce and the non-negotiables of senior management are quite different? Because I would imagine workforce says non-negotiables are nice culture, good communication, a reasonable amount of conflict, respectful work together, while senior management will say our non-negotiables are profit.
Yeah. Well, I don't hope that profit will be their non-negotiable, because if you have highly engaged people, profitability will go up. So profitability is always a result. A good culture is also a result. So what we see, and my colleagues, Steph Duplessis and Steve Simpson, call it the unwritten ground rules. That's the thing we talk about at the coffee machine, at the printer, and that kind of stuff. That is how we do things around here. And what you see when you hire new employees, within 6 weeks, they adjust to these unwritten ground rules. They are unwritten. Nobody talks about them, but they are there. So what a company, and especially the C-suite, needs to do is to be open about what they want to achieve and what the non-negotiables are. And that's never an outcome. That's transparency. That is communication. And what we like to see is that you give extra words to it. That I understand what you mean with open communication or integrity. So I see a lot of companies who have their core values on the website. But when you ask, for example, the HR director and say, hey, what are your core values? Then they have to think about it. Well, that's where it goes wrong. Because if you don't know what your core values are, how can you ask your employees to be in alignment?
Yes. So what do you think about the usual motivational posters which we normally have in corporate buildings? Client pays our salary, focus on the customer, our values are yada, yada, yada. You often have these kind of elevator posters, as we often call them, and they hang on the walls and people roll their eyes at them. Now, of course, the main question is, when people want to do it better, how do you find out how to do it better without doing one error after another?
You need to talk with your employees. I can give an example. I was working in a shipbuilding company a couple of years ago, and a new CEO came, and he was asking for the non-negotiables, the core values of the company, and nobody knew them. And he said, well, they are on the website. And he said, yeah, that's nice, but that's not what our non-negotiables are. So you see the difference. I can put something in the elevator, in the lift, or in the hallway, but if nobody believes it, they aren't real. And they create the opposite. They create that I don't like what the CEO is saying. So this boss was really a great guy. And he just asked us, can you help us to make the unwritten ground rules the written ground rules? And what we did, we took 2 actresses and they were dressed like coffee women and they were walking through the hallways, pouring coffee and tea and asking questions like, why do you like working here? Why are you here today? The basic questions. Why do you get out of bed, drive to an office, work there, and go home? Why? And that's not the high purpose and all that stuff, that most motivational stuff. It's just you get out of bed, you want to have enough energy to go to your work, but when you leave from your work, you need to have more energy. How do you get more energy? And that's just asking questions and writing it down, and then go up and up and up in the hierarchy to the highest level and say, hey, we think that these are your real core values. These are the written ground rules. They establish your corporate culture. And then they need to act on them. And that's the trouble. We create words, we publish them, and then we go on with our own business.
Yeah. How do you make sure that people stick to the values once the time of the workshop is over?
The point is, it's hard work.
It's the difficult part now.
Yeah, this is the difficult part, because then it all comes down to accountability. And accountability is not confronting in a negative way, but talking to people, hey, this is what we decided. I see this. How is this in alignment with each other? And then people say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And then you have a discussion. So don't blame, but make people accountable. Say, hey, this is what you promised. And I will keep you accountable for what we promised. But the same with the CEO. If he says something in public and people say, hey, this is not in alignment with our core values, you need to address that with your CEO. And of course, we have tools for it, that you can do it anonymously and ask questions to the CEO or the CHRO or the CFO and say, hey, this is what I saw. Is this in alignment with core value A, B, C, D? And can you explain?
That's one of the important aspects which I wanted to address, because often people would fear to speak out against the board because they would think that they risk their own career within the organization. So you have tools at hand to make it anonymously.
Yeah, this is a tool that everybody can use worldwide. It's called Engagement Multiplier. And it uses 90 days programs which you create as a team. So as a team, you say, okay, we don't communicate. From now on, we will have an open discussion on Thursday morning from 9 till 10, just about what happened in the last few days. Then you can address it. You make a program out of it. And the CEO or the CHRO is connected and can respond to what you're publishing.
That is very good indeed. So when people are now, because I remember that you wrote a very insightful report, which is, I think it was called Value to Profit.
Profit, yeah.
Yes. First question, is the report still available? And if so, is of course, that's what most people will ask, is it available for free?
It is available for free. And so it is available because it's 12 pages, so everybody can read it within an hour. I'm not going to say it's a 20-minute read. It will take you a little bit more.
Yeah, but my next question normally would be, is it like one of these 500 pages reads that no one can read without taking 2 months of work?
No, it is 12 pages and it has some drawings in it. It's about, if you know what your core values are, Then we go in the job demand resources model of Arnold Bakker, one of the professors of the Erasmus University, who is one of the world expert on engagement. And what they say is you have, of course, job demands. It will take energy.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you have your private life and you have your business life. And when you can create more energy than the job demands take away from you, you will be in a flow. And if you go in a flow, you will be more engaged. And when you're more engaged, we call it the 7 keys of human capital behavior, then you won't call in sick. You will be more productive. You will make less mistakes. Your sales will go up. On the other hand, if I don't get any energy from what I'm doing, then I go to work with not enough energy to survive, and it drains the energy. And I come home, I lay down on the couch with a beer and some chips, watch some TV, and then the next morning I have even less energy. And then we call this burnt out because we're draining the energy away from people. And that is what's happening in the Western world. 15% of the employees complains about burnout complaints. It's only 2% who really have it. But when you have a burnout complaints, it means that you don't get energy from working. Well, first of all, then you have to take responsibility and find a new job. Find out what you really want to do. It's your employability, not mine.
Yeah.
Secondly, as CEO and as company, I need to take care that when you work in my building, in my organization, that you get energy from what you're doing. And that's value to profit. If we create core values and we can create a great corporate culture, then energy will go up, business will improve, profitability will rise. And that's the fun part in these COVID eras. Some companies are doing very well. They see an increase of engagement. Others, especially in healthcare, education, government, they go down. And then you see that working there costs more energy than it gives.
Excellent. That is very insightful indeed. When we now have listeners who sit in their organization and say, wow, that seems to be rather complex, just to wrap the whole interview up, Paul Terwal's top 3 tips where you should start now when you want to have a better workplace. What are the top 3 tips from you?
Know your core values. That's absolutely number 1.
So without core values, you don't proceed in any direction. That's the foundation of everything.
The point is, if you don't know why you do the things you do as a human being or as a company, you are without compass. You can go everywhere. You go where the wind goes, but not where your flow goes. You need to be your own river. You need to go with the flow, but that's your flow. Secondly, create a corporate culture that is in alignment with your core values. And that's something different, because I can have core values, but I need to take care of the culture as well. That people understand why we do it and that we help them to understand it. That's communication. And we all know that's the most difficult part of running a business. Absolutely. Doing the right communication. And thirdly, keep the people healthy in many ways. Because business was always tough. If you were working in the coal mines, that was hard work.
Yes.
If you were working in the fields, that was hard work. If you're now working in an office, it's hard work. So we need to take care that people have a right work-private balance, that they eat in a normal or healthy way, that they don't drink too much, that they sleep well. And that's investing in people. And we had programs years ago, Investors in People. It's still there, but not as popular anymore. But hey, it needs to come back. We need to invest in people. It's not that they are human resources. I heard Minsberg a couple of weeks ago. Man, that man is 80 years old, and what an energy still. Ah, that's lovely. And he said, I'm not a human resource, I'm a human being. So take care of me as a human being, even when I'm working in your organization and just cleaning the floors.
Excellent. That is very insightful indeed. I'm going, of course, put your contact data in the show notes of this podcast so people can get in touch with you when they have additional aspects they like to talk about. And at the end, there's only one thing for me left to say. Paul, thank you very much for your time.
You're more than welcome, and make your choice.